Well, can I have our translator please give an introduction?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ariana and I am here with CLC Interpreting, and I will be your interpreter for tonight. We will be speaking the language of your heart, so they will activate the icon for interpretation. Please make sure you select the language of your heart. Once you select your language, please make sure your audio is muted. Hola, buenos días. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Ariana, estoy aquí con el CLC Interpretación, voy a estar haciendo la interpretación para esta tarde. Vamos a aprender la interpretación, va a haber un icono hacia abajo, por favor seleccione el lenguaje de su corazón. Cuando continuemos, por favor asegúrese que esté en muto para no poder oír el ruido hacia de su cuarto. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, well, I'll call this City Council work session for February 28, 2022 to order. The time is 6:02 p.m. We have all council member present except for Councilmember Hall. He has a car in the shop that he has to pick up tonight, so he doesn't know when it's going to be done. So he's kind of stuck. So he said if we see him, we'll see him. All right, our first item tonight is the Excel assessment. It's like Ari's going to lead us off.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
This is not as informal as I was promised it would be, but we'll make it work. How's everyone doing this evening?
Good.
Great, good. Well, good evening, Mayor and council members, and thank you for having me. I'm here this evening to present the City of Sheridan's Commercial Streamlined Assessment Report, or simply put, the Excel Energy Audit. This energy audit was designed to inform both staff and council of the energy efficiencies throughout City Hall. Planning and Zoning worked closely with Randy Morning of Public Works and Gustavo Roman of Clear Results, which is a subcontractor of Excel Energy. So you will see on page 2 of the audit, there is an overall energy saving potential for City Hall. That's that first little figure up there. And then below, a breakdown of capital projects that would increase energy efficiency for City Hall. This breakdown provides estimated costs of the projects, any rebates that Excel offers, and a simple payback for the projects, meaning how much you save going towards the project and how long that would take to pay it off. So the two major capital projects identified were the replacement of all lighting in and outside of City Hall with LED lighting. LED lighting is known to last significantly longer than traditional incandescent and fluorescent lighting, with indoor LED lights coming in at approximately 50,000 hours and outdoor 75,000 hours. The energy savings from this project alone is approximately 92% of the energy savings for City Hall per this report. So the lighting project would equate to approximately 147,000 kilowatt hours, and this project could pay for itself in less than 2 years. The second identified project is the HVAC unit on the roof, and the energy savings here is about 13,500 kilowatt hours. And this project alone would take 9 years to pay for itself, so it's a little bit smaller energy savings benefit there. But for both of these projects, we're looking at a total of 161,000 kilowatt hours. And while the energy savings and financial impact from those projects sound very significant, and they are, I thought it would be best to provide you with a greater understanding of what that amount of energy looks like. So you should have a paper EPA worksheet that I kind of printed off for everyone.
Hey,
So,
Ari,
yes.
before you go into that part of it,
Yes, sir.
can you just give I understand what goes into the audit, and I know you guys do, but for the council's benefit, and then can you talk about what you guys actually did?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So Gustavo, Randy, and myself walked the entire building. Gustavo took note of every light bulb in this facility and outside. We looked at major equipment such as HVAC, heating, motors and fans that kind of push the air through the facility. And we got model numbers and serials so that Gustavo and Clear Results could then look up these equipments and get their energy standards. So that kind of was how he was able to generate this report, along with certain benchmarks that I'm sure they have from, you know, more substantial, larger reports throughout the country. Yeah. So back to that energy.
Sorry.
No.
appreciate that. Yeah.
So yeah, 161,000 kilowatt hours looks a lot like it could be 25 passenger vehicles not being driven for an entire year. That one, I kind of like that one. This is another really great number. Please look at all of these, but of 13.8 million smartphones being charged. So for reference, there are almost 6,000 Coloradans for the 2020 census. So 2.5 times that. So it's a lot of energy being saved just from one building. And I thought that graphic was kind of cool. Yeah, so then continuing on to page 4 of the audit, you'll kind of see a description of City Hall and of some of the equipment that is used to heat, cool, and light the facility. Much of this equipment was manufactured in 2002 and is starting to approach its end of expected useful life. Flipping over to page 5 through 7. I won't really go into too much detail, but these graphs show how outdoor air temperature kind of affects our energy usage. So when it's cold, we, you know, use more energy and yeah. And then on to page 8. Sorry. So you'll see a comparison of the Sheridan City Hall compared to other similar office buildings. And if, you know, in the graphic, we're kind of sitting at 102.1 energy use intensity, which is like the overall energy use divided by our square footage. And then you can see like where if we were to make these improvements, they think they can get us down to 83, you know, on that graph chart, excuse me. But I think the main thing to take away from this is that the consultant did not understand that City Hall is a 24-hour use, that we have the police facility and the firefighting facility here. So they were under the assumption that everything stops, you know, at 5 o'clock, and wouldn't that be lovely? But so that's kind of not typical for city halls to have all of their emergency services in one building. So that's why our benchmark is a little higher than, you know, where it could be. Yeah. So then we're going to go to page 11. A lot of turning today.
I'll just note for the record that Councilmember Hall has arrived.
Thanks for
Welcome.
being here. So on page 11, you'll see a breakdown of the lighting project. It talks about all the lighting, you know, current bulbs that we're using within the facility and around the facility. And then it just breaks down the estimated project cost, cost savings per year, the reduction in kilowatt hours per year, and then peak kilowatt that could also be reduced, which is, I'm learning, is, you know, very valuable. And so, well, we were explained that actually by Excel that, you know, we could qualify for some more rebates if our peak demand wasn't so high. So that's something to consider. And we could use our peak demand for more important things later. So with an estimated project cost of around $24,000, this project could pay for itself in 1.7 years. And then really boring on page 12 and 13, you will just have an entire inventory of every light bulb that this property
Everything you
has.
ever wanted to know.
So yeah, I didn't read through that part too much. And then you kind of have a similar, on page 14, you're going to kind of see a similar thing for the HVAC unit. You'll notice that the energy cost savings are, you know, a lot smaller. So that payback being 9 years, but the two projects together is a total of 2.3 years because of how significant that the lighting really can make for energy savings. So, and then on page 15, see operation and maintenance opportunities. And really what I took away from this is that the water heaters are much more efficient now than they were 20 years ago when this was manufactured. So they are smaller, they use less energy. And this was something that I learned with our follow-up, meeting with Excel and their contractors, was that water heaters like leak natural gas. And so the higher efficiency ones are sealed better and thus protect indoor air quality as well. So I thought that was worth mentioning. And yeah, I think from what I've heard from Randy, we are very interested in like tankless water heaters, high efficiency and, kind of moving in that direction. Also on 15, you'll see the wall packs need addressing. The assessment was done during daylight conditions and all the wall packs surrounding the building were on. So we're recommended to, get them, have some maintenance done to them, such as the photo cells being looked at, or, fixing the timer that they could be controlled by. And then on the last 2 pages of the audit, you just have everyone's contact information that worked on this project from Excel, a list of contractors that have been like pre-approved to receive rebates from Excel, thus lowering their cost, and just all the contact information. And then there's a nice glossary on the back to explain some of these acronyms that people that don't do this all the time might not understand. So thanks for having me and thank you for your time. And I'm happy to take any questions. I know that was a lot.
So I might have spaced out for this part, but were you suggesting, or maybe my suggestion might be that if we're 24 hours here, then aren't our savings going to be more than what it shows here?
That is a great observation, and I would also believe that to be the case. Yes, because I think they're thinking that a lot of these lights are going off, and a lot of them are, but
Not all
of them exactly. So there was talks of like automating a lot of the lights with photocell sensors indoors, so that if there's not photocell, but movement sensors, so that if we're in the room, then it's lighting up, and if there's no one in there for 20 minutes or whatever, then it shuts off.
Any other questions?
While council thinks about what questions you might have about this, and thank you, Ari, I appreciate that. Maybe a little bit of background, especially for some of our newer members too. So the city and the city council has established one of its council goals that are around sustainability and promoting sustainability, both for the city and within the community. And so this is one of those first steps in looking at sustainability. How do we as a city demonstrate that ourselves with our own facilities? And usually when you're looking at making these kind of improvements, you're looking at financing these kind of improvements or things along those lines. Doing an audit is usually one of the very first steps you need to do. You need to establish what are your baselines and what are your needs, those kind of things as well, so that you can then come back and justify the cost and what the payback is on those as well. So this is great information for that. We're not going to sit here tonight with council and say, oh, we recommend that we do this right now. This is really kind of to set the stage for you guys and saying, okay, we've done the audit and here's kind of some of the things that we've learned. Some of the next steps that we are currently working on, and some of this discussion we had during our ARPA discussion and looking at money, is that we do know that we have some capital needs here at the city, and this building is one of them. And that's how this ties into that discussion that we've been having on that as well. So I know that Randy and the chief have been working on putting lists together as far as what are some of the needs that we need that we have with this building. This audit touched on 2 of the big ones, right? And we kind of already made council aware that we knew that the lights need attention here. We know the HVAC system needs attention, and we've brought that up to council in the past. We know the water heater, but there's a lot of things that need our attention. The simple fact is we don't have enough ARPA money to do it all. we're going to have to kind of pick and choose on some of these things. But in doing an energy audit like this, one of the things it does is set us up for some potential financing and rebate type packages that are out there. When I was the town manager in Dillon, we redid the entire town hall there through a process that's called performance contracting. And basically what that is that you put, you install the improvements, it can be lighting, can be windows sometimes, HVAC, water heat, any of those kind of things that is going to create an energy savings for you. And you use those savings to help finance and pay back for those improvements that you've made. And it's generally over, a set period of time, like a 10 to 15-year period or something along those lines. And it also usually involves some level of rebate from the utility providers that are there as well, because that makes it possible for what we did in Dillon is we contracted with a nonprofit to come in and make the improvements, and then they work on the financing package and they incorporate rebates from the utility providers on this to get you a whole package to do this. It minimizes your, or at least helps to subsidize some of the costs that you would have if you just went out and bought everything on the market and did the improvements that way. So we've had Excel be part of this discussion, and their folks were present and talked to us about this. And I know that there's not really much out there as far as rebates and packages go right now. And we've been kind of keeping an eye on that. But hopefully, and a lot of this depends on the market. It depends on the economy. It depends on if the state legislature makes money available for rebate programs and things along those lines. So it tends to change from year to year on what the energy savings performance contracting market looks like. I think what we'll want to do is we'll look at what is our entire need for the building, and what is our ARPA monies that we have available. What could we potentially look at for, say, an energy savings performance contract type of a thing, which doesn't make sense to say, well, let's spend our ARPA dollars on this. So we need to go through all of that kind of process internally still and have those discussions and kind of run through those scenarios, talk with the Excel people. What are they going to have? What do they see? Here's our needs. What do you suggest? Look at potential nonprofits that are out there that do this kind of work, and maybe have them in to have some discussions with us and say, here's our needs. What do you suggest? And a lot of them have kind of ready-made projects or ready-made kind of contracts that can help us or assist us with that as well. So have those discussions as well. And then bring those back to you guys as council. It'll be up to you to help us make what those final decisions and how do we want to put this together for our sustainability efforts. But so that's going to be a little bit down the road here, but we needed, again, this is one of our first steps, was getting that energy audit in place. So we know that there's needs here in the building. The building is how old now? I'm sorry, you had it in here. 87. So, some of those systems we know they're not made to last longer than what they have already. Our HVAC system is past where it should be right now, and that water heater in there too, that's past where it should be as well. So that's kind of where we are on this. And does council have any questions, any thoughts along this?
Well,
Any surprises?
well,
Yes.
since this facility is 24 hours, have we looked at solar panels, any type of solar technology?
We haven't really explored that as of yet, I believe, or maybe we did a couple years ago. Was it that long ago?
Changed a lot.
I thought we looked at it more recently than that. But then, there's another piece in the puzzle that we can potentially look at. And it could be something that, if we look at doing that was actually part of the package that we did when I was in Dillon with the building. A lot of it depends on your building too. Does it make sense? Can you do it efficiently? those types of things. But if it makes sense, that can be also a portion or an aspect of your performance contract. They roll into that as well and can help, buy back some electricity from the grid and those kind of things like that. And it always works well in conjunction, especially, and I know when we did those in Dillon, there was a big rebate program through Excel for purchasing and installing the panels, which I don't think there is one currently. I don't know. We'll need to keep looking at it. But I think that's one of those things that you look at. All right, does this make sense as well? And it might not be in this building. Maybe it could be at the shops building. Maybe it's something that we look at the old firehouse. Potential for those types of installations in a number of places. But yeah, all part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Right. And figuring out what makes best. So what I want to do too is to be able to bring you guys some choices and say, here's maybe some different packages that we look at and over different time frames and say, okay, here's what, you can choose option 1, 2, 3, and they have different payback periods. They have different upfront costs, things along those lines, so that you can, have some discussions amongst yourself and see what you're comfortable with. And also be having those discussions in conjunction when we discuss budget and capital budget moving forward as well. But a lot of this, since you do see the savings over time, it does make sense to finance these types of improvements, because you can recognize those savings over time and help pay back that expense up front. And there's a lot of creative things out there. It's just a lot of it's market timing and seeing what's available at the time when you do it. Other questions? Anybody have questions about our buildings or anything? I can tell you, I can speak to it when we made the improvements at the town hall in Dillon, especially the lighting. I mean, not to be punished, but it was night and day. It really was a nice improvement to the working conditions when we did those lights. And it wasn't overly onerous on staff, like on the working conditions. They were able to do the installs and work around it, especially if you get a good company that comes in and knows what they're doing with that. So I think that's and then with the HVAC it's just essential. And we're looking at that for how do we look, Randy's already started to make provisions in the budget before this, even where we were starting to escrow some funds, knowing that we were coming up on that. I think as you discussed, I don't remember what we parked, and if Teresa's on here, if Teresa will remember what we parked, but we parked some money for this year. I don't recall off the top of my head how much, but so we're anticipating that. And then, if there are some ways that we can potentially look at rebates and financing, we'll certainly do that.
Devin, I would just add that we also, the city, applied for Excel's higher emission communities program, which is an additional rebate program that we're being considered for right now. The qualifications are low income, people of color, and I believe the last one is high emissions, which it's funny that that's the last one to me, but we kind of check all boxes, and we'll be waiting to hear our results from that in early April, I believe.
What can that be used for?
So that would kind of, the rebates that were suggested here would just open up more buckets of money from Excel as far as their programs go and what they're willing to offer the community.
Okay.
And we might want to, I think one of the next steps we go out there is start talking with some of these companies out there that do some of the performance contracting and having them in to look at us, and they can start putting packages together. I mean, basically, I didn't know what I was doing with that up in Dillon at all. We brought in, the professionals, the experts that do this, and they come in and write these things up for you. But again, the first step before any of that was they'd be like, have you done an audit? Have you done? And so now we can say, yes, we have. We've done that, and we're prepared to take some of these steps moving forward.
I'm excited we got that first step out of the way.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah, we have. No, and it's nice to be able to focus and spend some time doing that. Yeah.
Anybody else have questions or comments? Nobody? Smiles all around, looks like. All right, well, I guess thank you, Ari. Thanks for that presentation. And then we can turn it over to Devin for some more updates.
Yeah, and so talking about what you have on your agenda tonight. So we have an approval of a resolution that approves hold on, let me pull it up on my computer here real quick so I make sure I give you guys the right. This is a big packet for one thing.
It's one long contract.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Okay. It's not that. Sorry, hold on here. Yeah, that's it. So I'm sorry, it wasn't the IGA, it's the construction contract.
Yeah.
We already did the IGA. That's required for, we're doing this through a CDOT project. So this is, yes, it's the construction contract that was put out. Gosh, I can't get it to stay there, stay. It's been a long time coming. We've had this project, you know, when we first were getting ready to move forward and out, get this project going on. That's right when COVID hit, and it derailed us pretty seriously on that. We also have had a lot of issues with regards to our initial estimate on what this project was going to cost, and then the realities of the market and the economy as it has changed through COVID and other things really impacted us there as far as where we thought initially we were going to be on this project. And to kind of maybe talk about it a little bit, just to preface it, and Andrew, I was going to ask Andrew to do this during the regular meeting, but I think we're going to have some time. Would you mind doing that, Andrew? Just kind of talking about, hey, here's how we got to this project, what it is, what it generally entails, and then what we look like time frame moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Devin. So yeah, we began this project back in 2019, was actually the year that we applied for the grant funds with Dr. Cog. So we were kind of awarded in late 2019, and then COVID hit. So just trying to play catch up ever since then. But just to kind of refresh everybody's memory, so this is our grant, our CMPI grant with Dr. Cog, where we're fixing up bus stops in the city of Sheridan. So we initially identified, I want to say 32 bus stops throughout the city that were in need of repair of some sort. So these are the bus stops that just have like the post on the side of the road. They have no benches or facilities associated with them. So from that list and kind of working through the grant process, we've narrowed it down to the 14 highest ridership stops that are in the contract for approval tonight. So it's those 14 stops that are going to be getting improvements. And I think I was surprised when we looked at everything from a ridership perspective. They're not all along Federal. So I think it's really nice that we're going to see some improvements kind of citywide. It's not just one bus route or one corridor that's going to get all of the improvements. It's really going to be across the city, which is nice to see. And so what we're looking to do, so all of these stops will get a bench, a trash can, and then an ADA compliant boarding area. So right now, when you see a lot of these stops, there's no concrete, there's no, pad for the kind of ramp to fold down from the bus, and it can cause some issues if you don't need a bench, if you have some sort of mobility device and you just need to like wait for the bus. So that's what we're going to be doing, and you have the contract tonight from KECI, who I believe has done work with us before, Randy, and we have a great relationship with them. Any questions?
Andrew, can you talk about what the time frame is?
Yeah, so the time frame after this evening, assuming everything gets approved, I believe it's about 90 days for them to complete the work.
Wow. Okay.
That's
So
the
do you have a
period.
list of the bus stops? Actually, really, I just care about the ones that run low. Let's be real.
It's her favorite one on the list. That's
Well, there's two of them that don't have, the one is in a ditch.
yeah, the ditch.
Is that one? Please tell me that's one.
Is it on the west side of the road? Yeah, unfortunately, those ones, because they're in Denver, they're not a part of this initial program. But really, I think what we're hoping to do, this is kind of, getting things started. This is about half of the need out there, and then there's still more to do. So we want to partner with Denver at some point on those. We had a really great partnership for the Zuni Street bikeway improvements that was approved a couple of months ago. So I think we want to keep doing more of that with Denver and just, you know, let's work on Lowell. You do your side, we'll do our side. It's definitely on the list.
Ugh. Okay,
Yeah.
back to RTD I go. I'll get after them too, because I've sent pictures. I've talked with, you know, the RTD. Well, yeah, because the two on Lowell are just ridiculous. I mean, they let you off in the ditch. And someone actually chained a chair to the post.
Seen a lot of
the
that.
chair,
The Rubbermaid trash cans, we see a lot of that
yeah,
too.
the chair is just like somebody's lounge chair or whatever.
The office chair,
No.
kind of 80s office chair. I've seen that one out.
Oh, I
there.
haven't seen the office chair. This was just a plastic chair last time I saw it. I don't know what's over there now. I don't think the chair is there. It's gone. So, come on, really?
Yeah, the other issue, so what we're looking to do with this project, we have sidewalks in all the areas that we're working on. So it's kind of building the stop onto the sidewalk. The issues with those two stops would be, you know, kind of not having the sidewalk already. So we would have to build the sidewalk, the crossing, like we'd have to do
Mm.
everything just to get those stops improved.
So remind me when they did this, when they did Lowell, we did half the side and they did the other half, right? Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, got you.
Mhm.
Because we also shared.
'Cause
Dartmouth.
they were getting ready to do Dartmouth. So we
Right.
said, you do all of Dartmouth, we'll do all of Lowell, and that's how we.
And we got this short into the street or whatever, right? Because they went a whole lot farther, right?
I don't remember.
Really? So now all we have to do is convince them to build a sidewalk on that side of the, so that there can be a actual bus stop there.
Part of that issue is that's also part of Fort Logan National Cemetery. So you're looking at federal funds for that as well as government.
So the one that's down near, what is that street, Kenya? Is it, there's one there, and then there's one up closer to Mansfield, yeah. So the one at Kenyon, is that the one that's associated with the cemetery, or is the other? Because they're both. Okay, and here's another thought. You know that great big cement thing that's when you come out of Milan there and onto Lowell, and if you happen to look there, there's this big weird mushroom looking. Could we paint it? Would that be against the law if we jumped the fence and painted it to look like a turtle or something? Because it's, I think what it was a water main of some kind, and the ground has eroded around it, so it's this great big cement. It could be a
I believe
mushroom
it
or,
still is. It's a manhole.
yeah.
If you get on top of it, it's still got the cover on.
I think so. I'm pretty sure it's a manhole. Yeah,
Yeah, it still exists.
yeah. And it looks like a great big old mushroom or
Yeah.
something, which is interesting.
And it's in Fort Logan Cemetery, so.
Well,
I wouldn't
yeah,
want to
there-
jump the fence because that's a
No.
federal.
yeah, no, we wouldn't do that. But I've thought of that a lot. You know, that would make it really cool. You know, someone painted it like a mushroom or a turtle. That'd be cool. But I'm not doing it. Just saying.
All right, so
Okay, well, I won't get a bus stop yet. I'm gonna
Not
s-
yet.
I'm working on it. I'll work on it. I'll get a hold of Mr. Van Meter again. Say, look, here's the deal. We're doing our bus stops. Can you help out, pitch in? Which I doubt the RTD can right now. They're in a mess, but they're working on it. So, okay.
So was there any other questions on the contract for tonight? Questions, comments? So it is a mix of city ARPA money and grant funding on this one, so. And as Andrew says, you know, I think these represent some of the highest need ones and more and visibility and a nice geographic, as Andrew said, it's a nice spread around the city. So
And there's
everybody's
32,
getting
you
some.
said?
Yeah, so when we did our
32
initial
slots?
kind of survey back in 2019, it was 32 that needed some work. We actually have more than that. I want to say it's 38 or 40 total stops in the city, but if you go down Oxford, we have the ones with the advertising benches. So we cross those off the list. They have something, they have trash, they have cleaning services. So we weren't going to focus on those
Right.
for further improvements at this time. But yeah, there's a lot of bus stops in Sheridan that you don't realize until you actually go out and count them, and then they're
Ride the bus,
everywhere.
yeah.
Or ride the bus, yes.
So I'm assuming the one on Federal by Smack Daddies-ish. There's one over there.
Yeah,
Is it-
so some of the ones on Federal. So like I said, it's not going to be
All of them?
everyone on Federal
Okay.
at this point. The other thing is we're looking at doing the Federal corridor study. I think, a recommendation from that study will probably be to look at, maybe consolidation, if that's of interest with us and RTD. Like sometimes if they have 2 or 3 stops in a row and they're underperforming, they might put them closer together and focus improvements on one.
Right.
And a lot of times that actually starts at RTD and then they go out and do it. So we just want to coordinate all of those improvements. But
So-
again, focusing on the highest ridership ones is kind of what we wanted to do here.
I think it'll be a real nice improvement for those, and it's going to be, highly visible, I think. And I think a lot of people are going to go, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize, that there was a stop there.
Yeah, the one across the street next to the vacant lot, that one's on the list. Where it had the board that was kind of
Broken
falling
down.
over. and
Yeah.
Broken down bench. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one will get fixed.
That was kind of like one of like our poster child,
Yes.
one example.
Yeah, the photo we submitted with the grant, because it was June or July of 2019, it was the weeds growing up through where the bench part should have been. It was just the back of the bench
Yeah.
that we
Yeah,
still had. So
Yeah.
it was a great photo.
that got some mileage.
It did.
Yeah.
So how did you figure out the ridership? How was that figured? How did you figure that out? Which bus stop got the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we went around and we collected all of the stop numbers to figure out what we had, and then just sent the list over to RTD and said, what can you tell us about ridership here? So they count the numbers for boardings, and then I think they call it alights, somebody getting off at a stop. And they do that for every single person that gets on and off the bus.
Mhm.
So you can kind of start to see some trends appear that, in commercial areas, you have a lot of people getting on and off during weekdays, and then, it drops off over the weekend, for instance, or a stop that's next to, something that's more leisure, recreation, you might see with a spike on the weekend.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's great. They sent over all of the data and it comes in a nice table, and every day of the week, who's getting on, who's getting off. It's pretty cool.
Because then I now have back to Lowell, the one that is on the east side of Lowell, there by the mental health building with the cover. I'm
The
assuming
shelter.
that we didn't even look at that one, because that wouldn't be ours anyway
Right.
either, because
Yeah,
that's in Denver.
that one's in Denver.
That one has-
And that's actually when you go down Oxford, there's the Sheridan Library, and then there's a stop or two that Denver had fixed up.
Mhm.
Turn the corner, there's the one with the shelter, and then as you go north again, you're on.
So
Lowell and
basically,
Sheridan.
anybody that lives in my district that needs to ride a bus isn't gonna get a new bus stop. Basically, because
If-
the
if-
ones
I'll have
on
to double
Lowell
check.
If the stops are
aren't
in
gonna
Denver,
count.
if the stops are in Denver,
Because
we
there's
can't
that
go, we can't
stop,
go on to Denver property.
and then
do it.
there's the ones in Denver. And there's always people out there. There's always people riding there. Yeah.
Well,
Yes, there's that one. Yeah, those ones, there's in the evening, in the morning, in the afternoon, there's always people.
There's-
and the bus
There's one
stop
by
on-
Northgate.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to get you a map. So
Mm.
I think we
No,
did that
just
for our
tell me who
list.
I need to yell at.
So it appears as though there's 14 stops, right, that are gonna be redone?
Yeah.
And it's gonna cost $413,000 to do that. That's 30,000 each one.
Mhm.
Yeah, so when we look at, it's not always about the fixtures and the flat work. What we really saw over the past 3 years was labor going up, and then also Closing a street to do work is very expensive because you have to have a lot of, people standing out and doing flagging.
Yeah,
It was eye-opening.
all of these projects would have been significantly less expensive a few years ago.
When I
As I
first
started at the
complaining,
beginning, we have, it's the economy, it's the labor market. It's, we hit the COVID. So it is very difficult to do any of these kind of projects right now. All cities are seeing their capital project budgets balloon and go up because of all those factors that are involved. If you're looking at buildings, the price of wood skyrocketed there for a while. The price of concrete and asphalt spikes. And this is a federal project, so we have to pay federal wages and we have to make sure that
why is
we're
it a federal
doing all
project?
those kind of things, because
Because of our.
this is the grant money
That's where
we
you get the
got.
Grant funds.
Yep. So it all adds to the expense of it. Yeah, and I agree with you, Jay. It was like, holy cow, this much for, and yeah. It's frustrating because we thought our grant dollars were gonna go a lot further than they did.
The visibility of it'll be nice,
I agree.
just like when the sidewalks and streets were done, it was so amazing,
Mhm.
the difference.
Yeah, I think that the city, I mean, this isn't a joke. We'll get a lot of mileage out of this. We really will. It'll be highly visible. And I think a lot of people that didn't even realize, didn't realize that there was a stop there. It'll be noticeable because it'll be a nice facility that's there. We won't have, we're going to make accommodations in those for trash collection and things, where we haven't had it before, where people just throw stuff right now on the ground or wherever they can. So it'll definitely help, I think, with the city's appearance. A bit. Any other questions? And it'll be done quickly. I do
Yeah.
like that. It's a
That
it's
90
a
days,
90
like,
day.
wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
And when are we looking at starting, Andrew? Pretty quickly, or do they need to wait a little while? Into March, okay. So not too bad. Okay. Any other questions for Andrew? Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
So that is it. And then tonight we also have SRA. It's kind of a housekeeping meeting tonight for that, approving the bills and such. And I think that's it for our agenda. I'd be happy to do a manager's report, Mara, so we
I'd say
got some
go for
time
it.
here.
Let's shorten
Okay.
Our other meeting. I'm all for that.
There we go. Shorten up the time. Here, let me. I'm going to give you guys some handouts, so I will. Oh, I don't mind. I like walking around. I used to walk around all the time down when we had the meetings downstairs, right? So hopefully you guys can hear me. What I'm going to do is hand out a couple of things. One is a quick facts and check off building permit checklist for ADUs. So you guys just approved all the ADU information, and Andrew and Ari, who were planning, they did a great little one pager, or I should say a couple pager here with like I said, quick facts and checklist. We're big on doing checklists. When people come in and have that. So I want you guys to have a hard copy. It's on the website. So everything is there already. We have it here. If you guys have your own checklist, and if anybody has a question, you can kind of refer to this as a quick one as well. So if you this.
Cute.
If you guys have any questions, you can ask Andrew or Ari about these.
Cool.
Did a good job. And then the next thing we're going to hand out, and if you have any questions, the chief can have it. We're going to get new badges for our officers. Chief brought this up to me, and they came up and did design. Which officer did the design? I can't remember. You said
Sergeant Jay Harrison.
Jay Harrison. So Sergeant Harrison did the design, and one of the big things that is a difference from the badges that we currently have is that these badges will have a place on there, as you'll see, for badge numbers. our current badges, and I didn't know this, our current badges don't have badge numbers. And police officers, when they either retire or leave the department in good standing, generally let them keep their badge. But ours are kind of generic without having a badge number. And so it's nice for the officers to have, a personalized badge that has their number on it. And we haven't done this we haven't gotten new badges for our officers, at least in my time, quite some time. So thought that would be a nice thing to get for our officers. Anything that
I gotta say it.
on that, Chief?
Go ahead.
Badges?
We don't need no stinking bad. Sorry, I had to.
You had to. I know they couldn't.
I was thinking it.
So the current badges that we have are pretty generic. They're just a basic shield. They
Oh,
just say
great.
Sheridan Police on the ribbons, and you can see police departments all over kind of have these. Some of them do. But if you look, a lot of the police departments around, they have specific badges that, are specific to their department. And one of the things, this is Randy's badge that'll kind of have just a similar shield, and it's similar to our police badge. But so what we did is we thought about some of the things that were most important to the city of Sheridan. We wanted it to reflect Sheridan. So that picture that you have there, you can see the top part will have, of course, the rank, but then there's the all important Colorado seal that needs to be on those badges, or pretty much on every badge within Colorado. So it starts with the Colorado state seal up top. And then we kind of looked for what's important here, which is different from Sheridan, Wyoming, is we have the beautiful mountains. So it's kind of a depiction of the mountains that we see from looking towards the mountains from Sheridan. And then we also have the importance of our municipal building. So the City of Sheridan Municipal Building, we're representing that on there as well. And then we thought what was really important to us as well is the river. We not only have the Platte River, but we have Bear Creek. And it's also a reference in sort to River Point, which is very important to the city of Sheridan and the revitalization. So we tried to capture as much as we could with the important things that we could of the city of Sheridan. So when people saw our badge, they would instantly know the things that that we represent. So, and then again, we get the chance to put the officer's badge number on there so that if they leave in good standing, we'll put a minimum time on there, but they can take the badge with them, because that's one of the most important things to a police officer when they leave, is that is their remembrance, also for fire and others. But we haven't been doing that. We've been returning the badges in and we recycle them. So this will give something for the officers to cherish and hand down to their families. So any questions about that?
Nice idea.
I think they did a great job.
Yeah, very
with the
nice design.
Yeah.
Very pretty. Yeah, I like it.
When we get the official badges, we'll definitely bring it in to show you and go from there. So thank you. And thanks to, of course, City Manager Devin for supporting us and wanting to do this. So thank all of you as well.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Let's see. Okay, we did that. Some updates. How much time do I got? Okay, I'll go quick. Had a meeting today on our Sheridan Homelessness Forum that we were going to be hosting here. I do not have a date. It's going to be April 20th, 5 to 7:30 p.m. here at City Hall. And so, just save the date or something. We'll be putting out more information, flyers, and make sure we send you guys calendar invites, all that kind of thing as well. We have, so what it'll consist of is we will be supplying some food. We'll be doing translation services. We will have a panel that will address the homelessness issue in Sheridan. The main sponsors are going to be the South Metro
Community Foundation.
Community Foundation. Good, I couldn't get the C. Thank you, Mayor. South Metro Community Foundation, Change the Trend, Sheridan Rising Together for Equity, and the city. And then we're also going to have, so those will be the main sponsors. I said, we're going to have it here at City Hall. It'll be both in person and virtual. So we'll have translation services both online and in person. Our panelists right now, the chief has agreed to be a panelist, and then we're going to invite our co-responder Andrea Martin to see if she would share some of her experience there as well. Eddie at the rec center said that he would be a part of it and share his experiences. Some other folks, so Sandra Blythe Perry, who's with IFCS, if you guys know her, she is going to be hopefully being able to join us. We're going to have representative from the faith community. The school's new homelessness coordinator has agreed to be on the panel. We're going to have someone who is a member of a family that experienced homelessness, can speak to the experience of being homeless as a family in Sheridan. We have a local business representative from Sheridan Target. We'll talk about their experiences with homelessness down in the River Point area. Let's see what else. Did I mention we'll have food? And I didn't write down, we've got one of our local caterers that is talking about donating it, and I
Why not
didn't
the
write down
homeless
who it
club?
was. I'm terribly sorry. I'll get that information for you guys. I'm
How
sorry.
about the over at Fort Logan Mental Health in the kitchen there, the home, oh my God. What is it? Thank you. How's Working and Healthy?
Maybe it was them. I can't remember who it was that was going to do food.
That would be perfect because they're homeless people that are being
Yeah.
rehabilitated.
I can't remember who it is. I'm not in charge of that part, so
That would
I'll
be
find out.
awesome.
I'll find out.
What about librarians?
The library has offered to participate. We don't know if they're going to be a panelist yet,
Oh,
but they have
does they have a social worker?
they have an
Yeah.
individual that's one part of their community outreach team
Mhm.
who has 15 years experience on working on homelessness issues
Mhm.
in the Denver metro area. She worked with MDHI and MDHI's predecessor as well. And so she's already reached out. We're going to figure out how to involve her in that. So then she can also give not only her, and we want to get her no matter what and tag onto her expertise
Right.
and have that in our efforts going through with the Tri-Cities stuff as well. What role she'll play in this, we're not sure yet. But it would be nice because, here in Sheridan, the library has significant interactions with people experiencing homelessness, especially families. The rec center does. So I think we're tagging into those people and having them available. Let me see. Once the next steps are going to be, we're going to put together a marketing campaign and the flyers and all that kind of stuff. So I'll make sure you guys get all that information once that becomes available. Let's make sure I hit the main pieces on that. Yep, I think so. Just, let's see, you don't need to know that one. I've been attending, so we've started the regional opioid planning process. I'm not going to go too much into this right now. The area that we'll be dealing with in Arapahoe County is Arapahoe County. It's going to be our county is going to be our regional planning area for this effort. They will act as the fiscal agent for the efforts that we put forward. The issues that we're working on, and we just had the first meeting last week, and it was city managers primarily in Arapahoe County and attorneys having discussions about what this is going to look like. The first order of business is really going to be what is establishing the regional council, and what is the regional council going to look like? Who is going to have members? How is that going to work? So there was quite a bit of discussion along those lines. We have not reached any type of formal recommendation as of this point yet. There's discussions from everybody gets a vote to, you have representatives from large cities, small cities, medium cities that come in and do it. It all has to do with how big of a committee we want to have in place and those kind of things, as well as the time frame involved with this. This is over 17 years that these monies, these settlement monies are going to be coming into the state and the county. and us as well. While I say that, Sheridan's, and this is not written in stone, but Sheridan's individual funding allocation would be 184,500 and change. So it is based off of my understanding, and I don't know if I'll get this, the allocation formula was based off of law enforcement expenditures as part of a census estimation that was done in 2012, I believe. So that is why
Why'd they go back so far to?
that's
12?
that's the data they had. That's the data they had. So that is, for instance, what that does is it leaves Centennial's share at $38,000.
Oh my
We
God.
get 184,500.
That doesn't even pay for Narcan,
Right.
right? That doesn't even pay for the Narcan.
Right. So, there are some issues out there still on
Apparently.
that aspect of it.
Hmm.
On the money, so there's two main things that are being discussed right now. One is the council makeup. What does that look like? How's the voting? All those kind of things like that. How is that going to work itself out? Those discussions have just begun. The other one is the funding side of things. Are we going to pool all our money? Are we going to make it to where someone like Sheridan or an Aurora who's getting a little over $3 million? Do they maybe want to use some of it themselves in a local jurisdictional program that they might have and then pool the rest of their monies? Those discussions are just now starting to take place, and councils like us are just starting to think about that and look at that.
What was the total amount for Arapahoe County?
Total amount for Arapahoe County. So the total amount for the state is, this is real rough, 400 million.
Right.
Uh,
Not all cities.
Arapahoe
Or
County
involved.
area is 8.6 million, a little over 8.645 million. To Arapahoe County, hold on now. Local government distribution is over 25, almost 26 million. So it's quite a bit of funding, but you have to also remember this comes in over 17 years.
Right.
So it's not a big
You're not going to get all
lot. It's a trickle over a long time. Here, let me touch on this. This will help. So in April, we're supposed to come back with a plan on how to approve the regional council and what that's going to look like, including identified membership. We'll start doing study sessions and joint meetings of that group in April. That's if we can come to a decision on what that's going to look like. The first regional council meetings would be in May. Subsequent monthly meetings, it might be more frequently at first. Initial funding plan identified in October of this year. So again, those are the two biggies,
pretty fast.
figuring out what the council looks like and then what's the funding plan going to look like. Let me see if there's anything else. And a lot of this is driven, as you remember, we approved an MOU with a lot of the other jurisdictions in Colorado and with the state that looks at how this process will take place. So 95% of the local governments that are impacted by this in Colorado signed the same MOU that we approved. See if there's anything else. That distribution of monies that I told you could change still.
Right.
So I'm not banking that Sheridan's going to get 184,559,033 cents. And even if we do, over 17 years, I mean, start doing the math. It's not a lot of money each year. Right? Yeah. So, there were general discussions out there. I think some of the jurisdictions that are getting more money, like I said, like in Aurora, others like that are saying, we might have a project that we want to do ourselves with a portion
Of
of
course
that,
they're gonna
but then
say
we'd
that.
be looking at pooling the rest of it. A lot of the smaller jurisdictions, I mean, I kind of said, look, I haven't talked to my council about this, I'm going to, but I would most likely see us probably pooling our money as well, so we have an impact. What's our best,
Right.
our best bang for that dollar is hopefully to pool it with somebody else, other folks there that can, then we can put a decent project together, some decent programs together that'll benefit the folks in our city. Again, we still got a little ways to go to figure what that looks like. If you are interested in being, so they're going to be looking at elected officials to be on this, and whether they'll have like an executive committee, technical committee, I don't know yet. I don't know. They didn't like my suggestions. I said, just do everybody. No, we don't want to do everybody. Okay. But depending on what that looks, if this is something that you guys, anybody has a particular interest in, just let me know. Send me an email and say, hey, I might be interested in that, depending on what that committee looks like. I don't know what it would be. It might be, you might be on it for 2 years. You might be on it for a year. I don't know. But if this is something that interests you, let me know. And I will make sure to keep you guys in the loop as we move through this process. That's it, Mayor.
All right, we'll adjourn our work session at 7:02. And we'll go into our regular meeting. Do we have new people who've joined since the other?
We have Chevy on.
Okay. So we can probably skip our introduction. Okay. All right, we'll begin, call to order our regular meeting for February 28th, 2022. Time is 7:02 p.m. And can I get a roll call, please?
Council members Hall,
Present.
Stain,
Here.
Daigle,
Here.
Mayor Butterfluer,
Here.
Council members Whitaker,
Here.
Smith,
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. We rise for the invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we're just so grateful for the opportunity to gather in person once again. We ask, Lord, that you continue to provide us with wisdom and guidance so that we can govern well. We also ask at this time that your sovereign hand is over our government in the United States as a whole, whether it's small municipalities, large cities, or this great country. As we are facing some troubling times, Lord, we ask for a special blessing and just great care and wisdom be given to President Biden as he moves forward with the issues with Russia and the Ukraine, Lord, as the nation watches and prays that all will be well and all will be taken care of in your time, Lord. We also ask that you continue to bless our citizens, our police force, our EMTs and our firemen and women who spend their time keeping us safe. We ask that you watch over and guide our administrative staff in these strange times, Lord. And as always, protect our citizens, keep them safe for as they come and they go from our city. We just are so grateful that we are so blessed to live where we do. And we give all glory to you. And all of these things we pray. Amen. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next tonight, we have, oh, are there any changes to our agenda?
No changes.
Thank you. We have our financial reports. Receive and file the financial reports.
I'll move to receive and file the financial reports.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and second by Councilmember Smith. Any discussion or questions on the financial reports? No? I think it's looking pretty good. Like we ended the year strong.
Good note, yeah.
Yeah. All right, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmembers Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Yeagle,
Yes.
Mayor Barterfluer,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have an opportunity for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to speak to council tonight.
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Now we have some time for staff reports. City Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to remind all of council that I sent out the information regarding the CML conference. If you want to attend, please let me know. All of the host hotel rooms have been taken. So
Already? Oh my gosh.
I know, amazing. They must have, I don't know. The minute somebody puts one in, they clear out the hotel, or they don't have many rooms, one of the two. But anyway, we can certainly find you accommodation somewhere else in, I believe it's in Breckenridge this year. So, but the agenda too, if you're interested in the different sessions and whatever, let me know and I'll send that to you, or you can access it on your own for the CML, on the CML website. And I think that's all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll just recommend to our new council members that it's a really good learning opportunity. So if you have the time available to spend a few days in Breckenridge and do some learning, it's a good conference. You get to meet some people too. You know? All right. City Attorney, are you on? Oh, there he is.
Yes, nothing to report, Mayor, except I'd like to thank Jenna for letting me in.
Thanks, Jenna.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, anything else, City Manager, or if you?
Mayor, I don't have anything additional this time. I just echo your comments about the CML conference. I think it's a great opportunity for elected officials. It's the local city elected official conference of the year. And they do an excellent job. I think one of the benefits is not necessarily, and the mayor just alluded, it's not the sessions you go to, it's the people you meet there and the people you talk with and the contacts that you make, and just sharing, having shared experiences, just knowing that, and it's great to just go talk to people about, the issues that are going on in their city and what they're doing about it. And, I think it's a really good opportunity. I think this will be a good one because a lot of people, it's been pent up. We haven't had, an opportunity to do this for a while. So I think it's going to be, that's probably why a lot of it, you can't get rooms right
That's why the
now.
rooms are gone.
Yeah. And I'll be there. I'll be going. I missed the last couple of years myself. I usually go to that one each year. I go to the, just for the benefit of some of our new members, I usually go to like 2 conferences a year, that one. And I go to the CCCMA, which is the Colorado City and County Managers Association Conference, which is held every year in Glenwood Springs. It's right in the centrally located, so all the city managers in the state can come in there. So I'm going to that one in April. It was supposed to have been a couple weeks ago, and COVID numbers were too high, so they pushed it off. But yeah, I highly recommend the CML conference and in Breckenridge. It's fun, and if there's enough of us go, we can have a Sheridan dinner.
There you go. That would be cool.
Yeah.
That's where we met the folks that did the Loretta Heights. It was a class I went to. Yeah. It kind of started the whole thing, and I got them in touch with the right people so that they would save the buildings.
Yeah, it's a good conference.
Yeah, it's extremely good.
Thank you. Chief, you got anything?
Nothing to report, Madam Mayor.
We'll move on to the minutes then. Minutes of the regular city council meeting of February 14th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of February 14th, 2022.
A second.
Motion made by Councilmember Smith and seconded by Councilmember Stang. Any discussion on the minutes? Can I get a vote, please?
Councilmember Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The consent agenda authorized disbursements that have been or will be made from February 1st, 2022 to February 15th, 2022 in the amount of $368,053.41 per the referenced and attached transfer of funds.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made by Councilmember Daigle and seconded by Councilmember Smith. Any discussion or questions about the consent agenda? Can I get a vote, please?
Councilmembers Daigle,
Yes.
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thanks. Next tonight, we have items for individual consideration, a resolution number 6 of 2022, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sheridan, Colorado, approving an agreement between KECI Colorado, Inc. and the City of Sheridan regarding the Sheridan Safe Stops project.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 6 of 2022. A second.
Motion made by Councilmember Hall and seconded by Councilmember Kelly. Any discussion on resolution number 6? I'm excited to see that we're going forward with it. We're going to get some stops cleaned up because they desperately need it. So even if it's only a subset of them that we're getting this time around, it'll be a great improvement.
I'm excited too, but I really wish that we're all going for
I know, it's a bummer.
I really do.
Can I get a vote, please?
Mayor Butterfly,
Yes.
Councilmembers Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thanks. Next, we have the memo regarding the volunteer firefighters semi-annual report. We have Teresa, are you going to introduce that at all, or?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you too.
Good. Sorry. Thank you for letting me stay home because you didn't want me there near you. So I really appreciate that. We have to put the volunteer fire semi-annually has to give a report to the city council. Basically what it is kind of a year-end report and then a halfway report that's in August that's going to be through June. This wasn't out in your packet because FPPA didn't release the fourth quarter allocation report until Friday. So couldn't get that out, but I think you all have it now. So where I'd like to kind of go over is the first page behind the cover letter. It says at the top, City of Sheridan, Volunteer Firefighters Pension Fund position 12/31/21. So I'm going to go in to kind of go through this a little bit more in depth than I normally would because we have a couple of new folks. So this is actually split into two halves. So the top half is the volunteer fire folks have a checking account. And so when we do the budget process, the city budgets $50,000 that they commit to giving to the volunteer fire department to then go on to FPPA to help fund the pension fund. So when you look at that, this top half, that's kind of where it is. And the columns across is we always have the prior year. So that's your actual for 2020. We have then the adopted budget, the current year adopted budget. Then what we have is through year end. So that's where you see the 50,000 in from the city and then the 50,000 out where it went to FPPA. And I apologize, I keep saying FPPA. What that is Fire and Police Pension Association. So our volunteer firefighters are in that, and also our police officers are in that as well. But this is just the volunteer fire that we're talking about tonight. And then the final column is next year's adopted budget. So as you can see, the top half is just that in and out. What I'm going to do is move on to the meat and potatoes on the bottom half. Sorry, this is the FPPA pension fund. What I would like to focus on is that column that says actual fourth quarter 2021. It's the fourth column over. It starts with a beginning balance of 286 to 229. So I'm going to kind of talk about it and the adopted budget at the same time. So as you can see, we started off the beginning balance of 286,229. When we adopted the budget, we had projected to only be at 273,807. So that already started off the pension fund higher than what we'd adopted. Moving on down, the contributions that show 73,194. Out of that, so 50,000 of that is from the city. And then every year the state has a grant program where we apply to get the funds. The maximum the city can get is 23,194. And so we apply for that every year. So far, it has never been not approved. And then they submit that straight to FPPA. So that's why it says the 73,194. That's the two, sorry, the two combined. Moving on down, the net benefits, what that is that's the payments to the retirees. So it's either the retirees or their spouses. As you can see, that was at 87,871. We had budgeted 107,000. So that came in lower. So that's going to help our fund balance when we, so sorry, when we continue on down through this. Going on down, interest, dividends, and other revenue. Again, as you know, interest rates are not really high right now. So that's, only came in at 2,758. We have the unrealized gain and loss and the realized gain and loss. Those both came in stronger than what we'd anticipated, which is always good. Then going on down to the fees and expenses, we had 8,470. This year was an actuarial year, so that's why you will see that it was higher than the 2020. And the actuarial happens every other year. So you'll see that it'll keep continuing on. So then when we continue on down to that ending fund balance of 301,979, if you look to the left column, we had projected that we would end up with 255,000. So between those gains, realized and unrealized, and also the lower benefits being paid out, we're about 45,000 higher than where we thought. So that's always a good thing. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The detail is in the pages behind it. So I think that's kind of everything. Does anyone have any questions about about this?
I don't see any questions.
Nope.
Thank you for
No.
powering through that.
Sorry.
I wish I could bring you a glass of water.
No, or a lozenge.
I have so right here, but I was trying to get through it.
All right, I don't see any questions for anyone, so we'll let you take a break till SRA.
Thank you.
Mayor, one thing, and
Yeah.
Teresa, tell me if I get this on. I don't want to make Teresa talk anymore. But just to notice for the council that the city contributions at $50,000, that is just, it's significantly higher than we're required to put in that. And that has always been a decision of the council to fund this the fund for the volunteers to make sure that it's a very healthy fund and adequately covers all the needs for our volunteers and for their families in that. And so that began from many years ago when the city was probably actually underfunding our contributions a little bit on that. And we have gradually built it up to that $50,000 a year that we put into that. We stopped that and we kept it at that level starting, a couple years ago, Teresa, I can't remember exactly. But I just wanted to point that out that the council and the city does support this fund at a pretty significant level. And again, above and beyond what we would actually have to or be required to support this fund at.
Devin, can I piggyback off that? Because you bring up a
Please.
really good point. So when I talk about the grant that we applied for from the state, the requirement to get that grant is the city has to contribute. It's basically 110%. So we would have to contribute 26,000 to get that 23,194. So as you can see, we're contributing almost double what we would need to in order to get that state matching. So thank you, Devin, for bringing that up because
And you explained it better than me. Thank you.
No. So yes, the city is definitely double what they need to be.
Any questions from anyone on that? Do we vote to accept that or do we just accept it?
I don't believe we have to vote on this. It's just a requirement that the fund update be presented to the governing board.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to approve or accept or anything like that.
Right. Then we'll move on to mayor's choice. The only thing I wanted to mention tonight is I just wanted to thank Amy for all her hard work on the newsletter. Our new electronic newsletter is looking really good. Hopefully everyone's been taking a peek at it, reading through the articles because she did some nice features in there. And I really appreciate that. And I hope, if you get a chance to promote it with people who might be interested in Sheridan events, please do. Now it can be anybody. It used to be only our residents could get our newsletter. So now anybody can keep up to date on what's going on. So yeah, get it out there and get it read because it's worth it. Anybody have anything for council members' choice?
I do.
Go ahead.
I love the electronic newsletter, but I am feeling like we're losing contact and communication with the community by not having print. Sorry, to back it up with kind of multimedia for people that just aren't getting the concept yet, to still continue to try to drive opt-ins to the electronic newsletter. But without it, I'm just thinking about all these events that we have coming up this summer. And I just wonder how are we going to get in touch with people? And I'd really like to see the print newsletter come back if there was a way to do it cost effectively and have it piggyback at all the rest of it and drive traffic and duplicate information so that people who just don't understand the internet yet, like all the folks in the retirement community at the bottom of the hill on King, so that they can still keep up with us and that we're not losing touch with them. What do you guys think?
So one of the things that we have been discussing with for our community picnics is how are we going to get the word out when most folks, because my fear is that a lot of the people like in my district are elderly. They don't have internet access or they don't use the internet. Because pretty much everybody that I've talked to, even he at the pharmacy tech who lives in Sheridan, he's like, wait a minute, where's the paper? Why haven't I been getting the paper? And I'm like, well, it's an electronic paper now. Well, I didn't get a notification. And I know that I've talked to a couple of different people in apartment complexes and the card that was the information that was sent out before to switch over, they never received that because apartment buildings don't get it anyway. They never got the newspaper because it couldn't be delivered into their mailboxes. You have to be able to you can't put it in one of those mailboxes, like a community or an apartment complex mailbox. So they weren't getting it to begin with. So they would have never gotten the notification that we're switching to an online thing. So how do we get information about our community picnic out to our neighbors? So could we do the paper and paper print and gear up to kind of like Jay said, to drive them into going electronic?
If you're just worried about the picnics, then why not just make flyers for it? Or are you
Well,
wanting?
I'm talking about everything.
Oh,
because they
just
don't
like
know-
the whole
Yeah,
news.
yeah, they don't get any of the news. They're not getting anything.
Well, with,
Because they.
with all due respect, everybody, that we've been hearing that for 10 years. And we've had people come walk in the door and say, I don't even read it. I don't even look at it. Remember during the streets project? People said, I never heard about this. We said, we put it in the newsletter for over a year. I don't read that.
Well,
I
there's
understand
that too.
I understand your concern.
That's
I
true.
absolutely do.
That is.
And I get Jay, I get where you're coming from on this. I do. But I think we're gonna have to make a decision. Where do we want to go? How do we want to be in the future? I think maybe we could look and see if there's some in between that we could potentially look at, but basically we made this decision to move forward with moving away from the paper delivered one, both from.
Is there a flyer that, or a?
Well,
postcard
we
could send
made the
out?
decision budget wise.
Yeah,
We
I'm
made
sorry.
the decision budget wise to help
Yeah, I know.
cover the positions. We now have a public information coordinator, which we didn't have before.
Right.
And we're helping to pay for that with savings from doing all the mailing, which, as you point out, didn't reach everybody. It never has reached everybody for the difficulties. So that's the difficulties of mailing something, right, to people. I agree. We've always struggled to reach our community in all formats, right? It has always been a struggle. And we find some things that work, some things that don't. You know, it's hard. And again, with all due respect, and I understand your point, it's hard for us to get direction from council to go one way and then a few months later get direction to go completely the other way. I'm not saying we can't do it. I think we need to give our direction that we're going right now some time to see where we can get on that. We can look at interim though measures and kind of stopgap measures if we need to. Flyers, door hangers. We do door hangers for a lot of different things. If we have projects, construction projects and things like that, we'll door hanger. We'll do those kind of things. So I think there's ways to get the word out on specific events. And I think we generally have done a pretty good job with getting the word out about events. It's the other things that we have difficulty reaching, folks with this saying, well, we didn't get notice that we were switching. It's been in the newsletter for the past couple months, we're switching over. So I have a little bit of a hard times, going, well, yeah, that's been a struggle for this city since I walked in the door and long before that. So I don't know. It's kind of up to you guys. It's your city and how you want to move forward on this. But I will point out that's the direction that staff got, was to move forward with this. If we do a U-turn, we can do a U-turn, but it is a couple steps backwards in my opinion, but maybe we can find something that's in between.
I like that. Yeah, like, I don't think it has to be a U-turn. You've got a dedicated employee coming up with a multimedia rich thing that just the text of it could be copied and pasted on on something that's mailed, and maybe save some of that cost of outsourcing, whoever was doing the newsletter before, because you have somebody. And if you have these different media that are all kind of talking about the same thing and pointing towards the same thing, I think you'll reach more people. Like, I'm interested in how many opt-ins do we have now?
How about if we do that? How about if we kind of, staff will go back and chew this over and look and see, okay, what options might we have in there? The mailing option might be difficult because generally you buy an entire mailing, it's all or nothing. And that's where we saved a lot of our money, was by doing away with the postage cost of doing this, because you have to use a mail house and all those kind of things that they do like that. But let us chew it over. Let us come up with maybe some options that maybe it's a printed, a limited printout that we can maybe either do here, or we get a print house somewhere they do it. And we have various locations in the city where people can pick it up. Something on, maybe it's at, we talked to the rec center, we talked to the library, we talked to River Point, we talked to some folks. Maybe we have some location, maybe we talked to, and I think we've maybe even tried to do this in the past, I can't recall. We talked to the folks at Bear Creek Village, the folks that have that, and say, hey, we'll bring it down there if you'll distribute it. We can't go in there, it's private streets. But if they would have leave it at their clubhouse or at the laundry facility or something like that, that might be one. So let us look at some of those options.
Yeah.
Terrence, I saw your hand.
And yeah, we do have to use the social media, you know. There's nothing better and stronger than social media. I mean, you can watch the whole Ukraine war on TikTok.
Right.
So we just have to figure out how to use social media as well.
Yeah. And I think that was it touches on, that was one of the strong focuses of the council, and the direction that we got at the time was that we weren't using social media. We weren't taking advantage of the technology is out there. So the push was to get to that. And yeah, are you going to leave some people behind? You might be. You might be on some of that. Let's look and see if we can come up with some stopgaps though for some of that, without having to go all the way back to. It took us a long time to get out of that newsletter. I'll just say it took us a long time to get out of that.
So like one event that might, because is the rec center still, you know, they did I don't know if they did the Valentine thing for the elderly this year.
They did.
Or they did Valentine bingo because of the COVID, right?
Yeah.
But that would be a great place, you know, when they have these events for the elderly, to teach them how to interact with the social media or whatever, or, you know, get that information out. Hey, here's our newsletter. Here's how you sign up for it. But like with the picnics and what have you, and the different events we have coming up this summer, what about like sending out a postcard or a flyer or a door hanger or whatever you decide on, and having the event, and then also more information about, hey, here's your newsletter, go here, maybe to get it.
Yeah, I think there's lots of opportunities out there, and I know Amy's been working on these things. So she's putting together a communication plan that's considering a lot of these different aspects, and how do we look at, you know, individual events? How do we market the newsletter and get it out there and reach more people than we're reaching like commonly? So yeah, and all good deals, and we are looking at those things. Yeah.
Can I make one last comment?
Please.
Me and Desiree, we've been working on our hopefully our picnic thing for our ward. And one of the things that can't even think of her name, Jean brought up, was the reader board.
Yeah.
We can take the reader board and put it all over the city. People are going to see it as they're driving by. And when you say elderly, unfortunately, I'm elderly, and I know how to use the technology. And I have a neighbor who's 10 years older than me. She knows how to use it a lot. But there's a lot of people, my father being one of them, he didn't want anything to do with it.
Sure.
So we've got to find all these different ways of getting it out. And the other thing was, we were looking at the cost. The cost was getting prohibitive to mail it out.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what we were spending, $60,000.
No, it was more than that.
Yeah.
It was a large.
Yeah, it was a big,
Yeah. And once again, it was something that when it got there, it was already late.
Yes.
The events already happened. With the current newsletter, it's more current and up to date. And you know, I happen to agree with Terrence. Social media is where it's at. You know, I was talking about my granddaughter shows me how to do all these neat things with just a phone. And so I've got to learn these things. You know, our children are even in better shape than we are, but it's getting everybody on board. But I think we need to kind of keep going and see how we can find those other avenues.
Yeah. So I think we can come up with those kind of things. Did you want to say something, Amy? Yeah.
Mhm.
And even with our splash alerts, which are also really important, a lot of people just aren't aware that we have text notifications. So as part of my communication plan, I will talk about a small survey that we did in which a lot of people that once they were aware that we had these digital notifications, they were very much interested in. So there is a communication gap, but that's definitely something that we are working on. It's just going to take time. And I think a lot of that is just going to have to be face-to-face interaction. Of staff members just being out there and letting
Word of
them
mouth.
know. Yeah, and obviously direct mail. Even
Mhm.
though that's also not perfect, but it's just gonna take some time. Sheridan had that before.
I totally agree that it's the right direction to go. I mean, it's not a question. I just, in the meantime, I wonder how to drive more traffic, how to also keep in touch with people, how to use what you're already doing and get it to the people that aren't responding yet,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And Don, I like, people love the reader boards. It's amazing.
Yeah.
What reader boards can do. I mean, I was talking about for the homelessness forum, and I was like, hey, we got reader boards, we could do that. And we sat there for like 5 minutes trying to figure out what could you communicate in like 4 lines in 5 seconds. Would make it, so it's a little challenging, but people do look at them, you know. I mean, Sheridan celebrates and anyway,
Okay.
yeah, good.
So it sounds
good
like
idea.
we'll maybe
Good
have-
ideas from everybody, and we definitely will look at these efforts, and we're obviously Amy's already looking at this.
So when we're having our community picnics, maybe like just a little informational card that, you know, at our.
We're
at one
making
of the
people
tents or
aware.
whatever.
Well, at
Yeah, that
at
will
the
be
tent, you
available,
could
yeah.
collect people's emails and
Yeah.
sign them up.
I
Or,
did
right, yeah,
that
that too, yeah.
With an iPad and everything, just
Yes.
sit there and.
There you go, that would.
I'd
Get them
be
signed
willing
up.
to climb into that,
I like the door hanger idea.
Yeah,
Right?
or even
I
something that
don't,
we could hand out when we're talking to people out and about. Oh, because
Mm-hmm.
maybe on our business cards, even next time you get them, put it on there,
Mm-hmm.
on the backside or whatever. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Yeah, I think though, and I'm glad Amy mentioned some of this, and we're looking at doing a communications plan, because that's how you build it. You have to have a coordinated effort,
Yeah.
right? And it is going to take time. There's no way we were going to flip the switch and have it work. Very few communities, you know, could do that, especially a community like ours, which is so diverse, and we have such also a concentration of older adults who don't, you know, to Don's point, his father, he's like, I don't want it, don't need it, never gonna, right? And we have our share in Sheridan, right? Of that demographic. I guess that's who we are. So it's going to be, you know, we're not going to reach everybody all, and it will take some time. But I think is making sure that we're doing it in a thoughtful and coordinated way, and then making sure that we're weighing in with you guys on that. So we will bring that communication plan to you guys, right? So you can see when that, and we can have some thought behind that. And Amy's point, have you been here a year? You haven't even been here a year. I think she's how much impact she's already had, and how much we've improved in that already. So we will be working on that, and then that'll help us give us some focus in the budget on what do we need to do budget wise to help support it. Because, you know, Amy came to me, what's my budget? And I said, I don't know what your budget is. She did
like,
not
"Yay."
like that. You know,
Guys,
'cause I said, I don't know.
I don't have a
We're-
budget.
You know, we're seeing how this goes, and you know, so we're kind of learning what that looks like as we move forward. So, but Jay, thank you for the comments. Appreciate it.
Anybody else?
Actually, I have a, April 27th is the Dr. Cog Awards. Do we get our award then? Because we haven't done it. We were supposed to get our award, right?
That was like 2 years ago.
They
know.
they did it on the virtual thing.
They did a
They
virtual
did it
one.
virtually.
Yeah,
but
they did a virtual one. It was
Not nearly as
Yeah, it
fun,
was-
but I know. But it is the 27th, if anyone would like to go or whatever, I get to take a guess, so. And then the signage that we had talked about before for like the districts, have we heard any more about that?
The district?
Yeah, remember we talked about the signage over on the weird corner on Santa Fe and
Kinda like
off
entryway and
Sheridan?
entryway and
that-
exit signage for the
Yeah.
city.
Oh,
that entryway and whatever. And then we
Mm-hmm.
also kind of talked about maybe getting like district signs. So
like
like,
neighborhood signage?
yeah, like.
That kind of
yeah,
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rose
we
Garden,
still-
the
still-
hill, whatever.
Yeah, still want to be able to do that.
Yeah.
We don't have it at the front of the burner right now. Yeah.
Okay.
But
I
it's,
just-
it
I
has
think
not
I
been,
thought-
we have not lost track of that. Absolutely.
Okay. And
Yeah,
then
it's in the goals and all of that stuff.
And as far as, okay, so, and then my other question is that, like, I don't know if it's happening in everywhere, but I know like in my district, especially there by the church, at the end of my street, at the end of Knox and King and what have you, where when it snows, like it has been, we get the snow and then we get the melting and then we get more snow and then we're getting like these great big huge ice sheets at the end, like at Lehigh and Julian, there's one on the corner there where the side, right at where the sidewalk, the ADA sidewalk dips and what have you. Big, huge ice, which could be fun, but not necessarily when you're, driving or walking or whatever there. And then on all along, it seems all along Lehigh, because there's that, well, Randy knows how it dips and then it kind of goes again. Is there anything we can do about that? Because it's right at the sidewalks and where the ADA dips for the sidewalks and what have you are. So where people are walking and crossing, we've got these, big, ice shields or, So I don't know if there's something that can be done about it. Is there a reason that it does that? Because the drainage doesn't.
Is it on the north side? Is it shaded?
It's actually ice that's on the north side of the house. It's, some of the buildings and trees that are too close to the roadway actually shield it.
Well, that definitely because the church, the rectory, really bad.
Had here today and yesterday and that type of stuff. We do actively go out and work those, so they'll spread the ice and the agents on them,
Mhm.
and then you scrape the ice. So they are actively working. Just got areas that are actually working.
They've got, yeah.
Yeah, because I know that like there where the rectory for the church for Holy Name, that is and the kids ought to take great advantage of it. But if someone were to fall and get hurt or something like that, because it's a big one.
Milan and Lehigh, we do push from the south side of the road to the north side. Turn the light on this GPS. But part of the problem behind it, like Holy Name would blow all their snow out into the street. So we've got quite a bit of that.
So you push so if you're cruising down Lehigh, for example, you push the snow to the north. So it's over on the, okay. Good know. Yeah, because there's a bunch there. And of course with the ice and then it melts and then now it's going to freeze again tonight. And then, it just keeps, is that bad? Is it
Mhm.
bad for the sidewalks and the asphalt and yeah. Okay. Just questions. So we don't really have an answer.
It-
As you can, yeah. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Great. Anybody else have anything for council member's choice? All right. Anyone who would like to speak to council from the public?
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay. We'll adjourn our regular meeting at 7:45 PM and go right into the Sheridan Redevelopment Authority meeting. I'll call to order this meeting of the Sheridan Redevelopment Agency for February 28th, 2022. Time is 7:45 PM. We still have all board members present. First item is the approval of minutes of the SRA regular meeting of January 24th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes of the meeting of January the 24th, 2022.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Councilmember Smith, seconded by, is that Whitaker? Sorry, I don't know your voice that well yet. By Board Member Whitaker. Any discussion on the minutes? Can I get a vote, please?
Excuse me, members Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Fleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Next are the financial reports. Receive and file the financial reports.
I'll make a motion to receive and file financial reports.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Stang and seconded by Board Member Daigle. Any discussion on the financial reports? Can I get a vote, please?
Members Stang,
Yes.
Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Fleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. The approval of disbursements, authorized disbursements that have been or will be made for expenses in the amount of $117,094.89 is referenced below. Legal expenses, none. Other professional services, $8,246.22. City support services, $108,114. Other expenses, $734.67.
I'll move to approve the disbursements.
I'll second.
Motion made by Board Member Daigle and seconded by Board Member Smith. Any questions on the disbursements? Can I get a vote, please?
Members Daigle,
Yes.
Chairman Fleur,
Yes.
members Whitaker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Stang,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. And we have new business Pinnacle report for February 2022.
Good evening, everyone. I have a cough drop now, so I can talk all night. So I hope you're ready to stay. So anyway, the Pinnacle report for tonight. I was really happy when I talked to Jess in the building department. Sounds like things are starting to move forward. I felt like we kind of were in a little bit of a hold mode. So I was really glad to see that some things are moving forward and hopefully going to be opening up here in the next 60, 90 days. So that's very encouraging, because we always want more things to open up, because it just brings more business to everybody out there. So that's under your new retailers. Your pledged revenues. So we only have 1 month of revenues for in the year, and we were up 10.4%. I know we would have had maybe a little bit of COVID in last year, but I really think we're just still really growing strong. So I'm really happy about that, and I'm really looking forward to this year with getting everything opened up. So that's always a good news. The fourth quarter report was sent to JP Morgan by the February 15th deadline. And then the audit, the wonderful, great, awesome audit is the first week of April. It's my life for the next month. So so if you need me, I'll be getting everything ready. So so that's kind of what I have to report. Did you have any questions on anything?
We know when the Real Cajun is going to open?
I do not. I don't have that. Hopefully we'll know more by then.
Everybody's kind of like,
I wouldn't, no, we don't.
You don't know. Okay.
Good.
You're ready.
All right. Just trying to figure out if I could have Mayor's Munch there in May.
I wouldn't
Count on it?
yet. No. No, if it was me, I wouldn't count on it.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the good news. Anybody have any questions for Teresa?
That 10% is
I
remarkable.
know,
I mean, what caught my eyes, you look at the last page, look at the graph.
I know that
Like,
graph.
holy cow, look at that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really, that's really good.
Show the audience if there's anyone watching still.
And I think we're just gonna continue with that trend. I mean,
Yes.
we're getting some new users coming in that are gonna drive traffic there.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're not gonna make a lot of sales tax off of that or eyeglasses and things, opticians. But they're gonna drive a lot of traffic there, so I think we're still just gonna see how much this center just continues to grow. Really impressive.
It's great.
I do have a question. So on the veterinary, what's the vapor mitigation for?
So that area of River Point is all over old landfill area.
Right.
So they are
They have to-
required to have vapor mitigation implementation on it. It's basically a cover. They're required to seal in their footprint when they come in. So they'll excavate and to put in a foundation.
Oh,
They
gotcha.
have to seal that all that
Oh,
ground
okay.
up.
Oh, gotcha.
And then they do their foundation. And then they have to, within the foundation, they have to have ventilation, to be able to vent all of that
Right.
gases out of there. Right.
Gotcha.
So they have to do all of that. And so it's lining, it's ventilation, it's all those kind of things. That's all vapor mitigation,
Okay. All of them. Okay.
all that together. And then it has to be signed off by an environmental engineering firm.
Oh,
That
okay.
it's done to certain levels of spec and yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Interesting.
And it's required over there in pretty much almost everywhere. And especially everywhere we've got left to build out is directly over landfill, known
So
landfill area.
where the medical building, was that, they
Mhm.
had to do it as well?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's coming
It's
along.
one of the reasons that it does add cost to a project.
Right.
It absolutely adds a cost to a project. Probably one of the primary reasons that we didn't end up with a hotel there.
Gotcha.
We talked to 3 different hotel groups about going over there. And that was one of the main issues, was dealing with the costs of vapor mitigation. A lot of those places, they're changed. They have their model that works for them. And then you throw in a cost like vapor mitigation, and suddenly their model doesn't work and they're not interested. So we're glad to get.
So the
some,
bigger the
local
building,
users over there.
the more cost of the mitigation, of course, would be, and a hotel would be lots of. extra
Yeah, and
added to their
it does a
project.
lot to their design that they're just not comfortable doing.
Hmm.
And they realize they can take their model and go someplace else and do what they want.
Right.
And it's
Which is
eas-
really
it's
too bad,
easier.
because it'd be a great place. for a
Yeah,
hotel.
no, the location is fantastic for a
Mhm.
hotel. That's why we had many chains interested.
Mhm.
Because you can do some searches on hotels and they're, long story short, we're like a donut hole,
We are.
right, where that location is. It's just that unfortunately, as in many urban renewal types of situations, the construction costs are a little bit higher than if you're doing a greenfields type of a development.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. We will adjourn for tonight. Time is 7:54 p.m. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Teresa. Hope you feel better.
Me too.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.